You're listening to the Talk of Delmarva 92.7, 98.5, and let me say a very warm August welcome to our good friend Ted Myrmagos, the Director of Child Support Services here in the First Aid. Ted, we've had a caller that's been patiently waiting online, so gets right to that call on the Lewis Meineke Doing Car Care Right Talk line. Caller, you're on the air with Ted Myrmagos, the Director of Child Support Services here in Delaware. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. I had emailed in a question yesterday, not sure if you had a chance to see, but I have an interesting case that's been going on for about a year. My son's father has filed to modify child support. Over the last year, I've spent almost $100,000 in legal fees trying to defend this case. Essentially, he's made the statement that he would rather pay lawyers than pay me, and he has the financial ability to do so and try to make me broke. So while I'm no longer in abusive marriage, I'm still suffering now a different type of abuse through this filing. I'll be open. When we got divorced, I settled for $3,000 a month. While that may seem a lot to many people, under the Melson formula, according to his income, I was entitled to somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000 a month. So I was settling quite low in order to keep the peace. But now 3 years later, he's filed this modification. And actually his investment has grown, not become reduced. So, in a mediation, he offered to pay me $500, and I just don't feel like this is, under the Delaware Supreme Court, the standards of living between our two homes are very different. He flies private planes. He, lives in a mansion. He has multiple homes. He just built a $300,000 pool at his house, which would cover the cost of child support for 10 years. So I'm wondering if there's, before I go broke, if DCCS can help me.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for calling in this morning. And one of the things that I would always encourage anyone who's looking for us or looking for services that the Division of Child Support Services can provide to reach out to us. And oftentimes in situations like yours where there's private attorneys involved, that can get to be quite costly. And so I'm always encouraging people.
Well, the attorneys benefit, Ted, right? The attorneys benefit. That's about it.
That
the kids don't benefit. The attorneys do.
So what I would suggest, and certainly you should contact our office, and we could send you information about how to become a client of the divisions. And if there are certain things that are currently, it sounds like there might be some things in the pipeline at family court. You talked about him filing for a modification. So I don't know whether you have representation from your private attorney with regards to that filing.
I do.
And so ultimately, we have attorneys that represent the state of Delaware from the Department of Justice at child support proceedings. Ultimately, if there's something that's already been filed and there's a private attorney involved, the Attorney General's office, who's our attorneys, they're probably not going to want to participate in that filing because
of a private attorney being involved.
Yes, because it's already kind of gotten started.
Got it.
But I think that there's things that we can do for you in the future when we talk about our enforcement tools. We can keep those accounting records to make sure that he's paying that child support in a timely manner, and all of the payments that he does pay are accounted for and have been sent to you timely. Additionally, I don't know who, you're required, because you're receiving payments directly from him, to keep an accounting record to make sure that he doesn't go into arrears and doesn't, we have tools that if he does go into arrearages, we can submit him for like a federal or state tax refund. If he's due a refund from the IRS or the state of Delaware,
right,
we can intercept those things. We can suspend licenses. We can do a whole bunch of things that kind of help with the enforcement of those child support obligations.
Yeah, there's no issue. I could foresee his stopping payments. And so if I understand you correctly, if he were to stop payments, then I would be able to seek your assistance. But because I have been working with a private attorney for 4 years now since the divorce, I do not have the ability to release her and then request for you to step in, because again, I'm going broke over this.
Yeah. So as it relates to the current filing, that's correct. You would have to go forth with your private attorney. But at any point along the lines, you can apply for child support services, and we would pick up that case. And there's a couple things we would do right off the get-go with the family court to basically ask the court to redirect payments through our office, set an arrears balance if there's something. But at any point, because you have a private attorney, it doesn't mean at some point you can't end that relationship and start a relationship with the division.
Could somebody in your office sit down with this custodial parent and go over how that would transition between the attorney and your office would work?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and it happens all the time where people come to us, they can't afford a private attorney any longer, and that's what we're here for. We are here to help pick up the case and move that case forward.
Just to let you know, Ted and I were discussing your email before we came on the air. And, as a man who's been through this type of thing, the sad part about it is sometimes men are angry that the system does not favor them, or it's rigged, or they sense that it's rigged against them. The part that I don't understand is your ex obviously is doing very well. Your son should be sharing in that benefit and is not. So is his problem with your son or with you? I don't understand why he would not want his son to benefit. Yeah.
It's with me personally. He believes that he's out to torture me personally.
But he's hurting your son. His son should be benefiting from his...
He doesn't understand that. He's in such rage and anger that he can't actually see that his son would suffer, if this modification. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have a full-time job. I'm actually also an attorney. I just don't do family law. But, and I can support him. It's just, I understand what the law is, and there shouldn't be two standards of living between two homes. I understand the Melton formula, and I know what I'm entitled to receive. So to then have someone who wants to pay zero and drown me with legal bills, I'm at my wit's end. So I just want to make sure I understand you correctly, Ted, that if I were to discontinue representation with my private attorney, that DCCS could step in to assist me with the current case.
Not necessarily with this. Right, not necessarily with this current. He filed a modification with the family court, and I'm assuming you're attorney and you have been served with papers from the family court related to hearing.
Yes, we have a hearing. It's been ongoing for a year. Ted, so we have a hearing that's coming up in September.
Right.
We've already gone through the production of documents filed for, failure to produce. We've gone through this all over the course of a year. So we're pretty far along the line. It's just I've now been informed after already spending $100,000 that to go to trial, it will cost me between another $100,000 to $150,000 that I don't have.
Yeah, this is what I think. This is what I think you should do. I can certainly talk to my colleagues at the Department of Justice related to your particular situation. My recommendation would be, like I said, Jake sent me a copy of your email, so I can respond to you and gather a little bit more information directly. And as we probably all know, attorneys in the state of Delaware know each other. So I'm sure
it's a small circle.
It's a small circle. And my colleagues at the Department of Justice could potentially reach out to your attorney and have a discussion about next steps and whether they, can come to an agreement that transferring the case to us at this point would be appropriate or not appropriate.
Right.
You talk, and I know I have one question. If you
go ahead, Ted, please.
So you talk about the modification petition that's been filed. Usually, there has to be a justification for that petition.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that because he filed it, he's saying that
can he hide income?
That there's a financial
Hardship?
change or some sort of a circumstance.
Yeah. So actually, the basis is that it's been over 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if this is being recorded, but it hasn't been 2 years.
Okay. So, but you don't know of any kind of a financial change in his circumstances that would warrant that.
It's only been an increase for him. So he may be hiding money. Yes, he may have put money offshore in preparation for this. But I have other evidence. He just bought a new home for his fiance's ex-husband. He built this $300,000 pool. He's been shopping for $5 million homes.
Well, money is not obviously not a problem for him. The question is,
I'm talking very high net worth individual.
Can he be brought to the point where he's going to be paying for his son what he should be paying? That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line.
I mean, we could talk about. And I'd love to have a $300,000 pool, but unfortunately, your son obviously should be benefiting from the lifestyle that his father has, and that's not happening right now, caller. And I think is that what the court would look at, Ted?
Well, what the courts do, and she mentioned it already, and when we talk about the child support calculation, also known as the Melson formula,
right?
I mean, it really does come down to numbers, and they plug those numbers in. You have to bring proof. Tax returns, probably in this gentleman's case, and about what he's earning in a year, and they plug those numbers in, and it comes up with a bottom line. And it's unfortunate because, as she mentioned, she deviated from that calculation in the beginning.
Right.
I reckon,
and that was between them. They arranged that and negotiated that. The two parties did.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I when I talk to custodial parents and our clients. And this is nothing against her. She made the decision that she felt could work with her ex. I try to urge them, don't deviate from the calculation, because that's what the courts in the state of Delaware have deemed the other party responsible for paying.
Right.
Caller, we have to move along, but you've now been. I connected you with Ted via email, so he will be in contact with you.
Greatly. Thank you very much.
And I hope that for the benefit of your son, I hope this gets worked out. Because
I agree.
It's not right.
Yep, and I will. Like I said, I have your email address, and I'll be reaching out to you very soon with some next steps, and I'm going to talk to my colleagues.
No problem.
Thank you.
You're listening to The Talk of Delmarva, 92.7, 98.5. It is our monthly segment with Ted Murmagos, the Director of Child Support Services here in the First State. As you can hear, Ted was taking a call from a listener, a custodial parent who's having an issue. If you have a question for Ted, give him a call right now, 302-945-9292. If you're up in Kent County, 800-518-9292. More with Ted Murmagos in just a moment. All right, let's bring back Ted Murmagos, the Director of Child Support Services. If you've got a question for Ted, 302-945-9292, 800-518-9292. If you're in Dover listening to the broadcast and you've got a question for Ted with respect to Child Support Services, Ted, you just reminded me that we're coming up on our 4th anniversary for this segment.
Yep.
That is amazing. Can you believe that, Jen?
Yeah,
4 years.
4 years.
Unbelievable.
The August of 2019 we started, Jake.
Unbelievable.
I know.
But we've done a lot of good.
Yeah,
we've done,
absolutely.
You and I and everyone who's worked for the greater good for our kids, and it's all about the kids, my friends. Mm-hmm. Yes, I got divorced once, and I had children, and I went through the system, and I didn't like it very much. But you know what? I always made sure my kids had what they needed. My child support payments were made on time. But there are people out there who don't do that. And it's important for us to understand it's all about the kids, right?
That's right. It's, making sure that, like you said, that the children have what they need to make it. And there's so much to be said about not only the financial support, but that plays a big role. We all know that. Right. But it's the emotional support. And it kind of all rolls together. If the children can see the non-custodial parent is playing a role in pretty much every aspect, and even the financial aspect of their upbringing, it does a huge benefit to that child for their lives, and it does does make a difference and help them succeed. There are studies, Jake, that show the children will actually do better when they can see that their custodial parent is contributing to their upbringing by financially supporting them.
Right.
And so it does play a huge role in their lives.
302-945-9292, 800-518-9292. Ted, unfortunately, right around this time is when your office starts to get busy.
Yep.
And the reason it starts to get busy is that the custodial parents are worried that their children will not have clothes for school, and some of them won't, clearly.
Right.
They won't have the school supplies or the backpacks, and there are a lot of programs that tend to help out. But tell us what happens in your department, within the Division of Child Support Services. What happens at this time of year, and how difficult is it to get through this time? This period?
I mean, so Jake, we have a 20-person customer service unit. The phone numbers for that unit is 302-577-7171.
Right.
And we see, we compare, the start of the school year to the Christmas holiday season. There's a uptick in folks who are calling us because they see, the custodial parent sees a need to make sure that their children receive the necessary things to start the school year off right.
And many of them don't, Ted, right?
And many of them don't.
Yep.
What we do mention from time to time is, calling in August is probably not the best time to have called. You should have probably called in June or July so we can get the ball rolling.
Right.
If the non-custodial parent is not doing what they're supposed to do, it does require potentially going back into the family court and their scheduling and all that.
I was just going to ask you now.
There are delays.
If a custodial parent contacts your department and says, I'm really worried that my kids are not going to have what they need going into the school year, going to the holidays, I really need help, what's the first step that your department does?
Right. So the first step is if there's already a child support case in our system, we will review that case and determine what the next steps are. Are payments coming in? What kind of enforcement activities or enforcement tools do we already have in place that that will hit during certain scenarios when they occur? And when was the last time if the person is not paying? When was the last time that the case was brought before the family court on a potential contempt
The court
finding?
will look at the court records based on when it was,
Well, we will look at our system and determine for those cases that we have, when was the last child support payment made? If it's been over 30 days, we may consider filing a contempt petition with the family court. But we are always trying to encourage our workers, before you hit that button, call the non-custodial parent, find out what's going on related to their circumstance. If the person has just lost their job, you don't want to...
Yeah, you could be causing them problems which are not going to be a solution for the custodial parent. It's going to make them more difficult to get the money.
Exactly.
Right?
We want to work with that non-custodial parent, especially if they've lost their employment opportunities.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Max. Yes, we have another caller for Ted Myrmagos, the Director of Child Support Services. Caller, good morning. You're on the air with Ted.
Good morning, sir. I have a question. My son is a single parent. The mother abandoned him and his son 8 years ago, and he has had no child support or anything like that, and he's afraid to file for child support because the mother's heroin addicted and doesn't want her to have any kind of visitation, nor have they even tried to have any visitation whatsoever. Once that child was out of their life and into my son's custody, they've done absolutely nothing for support. I've supported that child for the last 8 years. Is there any help that he can get?
All right, Ted.
Yep. So if both parties are here in Delaware, the Delaware courts
are both parties here in Delaware, caller?
No, they are. One is in Maryland, and my son and grandson are here in Delaware.
Okay, thank you.
And that's still important because in Delaware, custody, visitation, divorces, they're treated separate. There are separate filings with the family court.
I see.
And obviously the Division of Child Support doesn't get involved in the custody or the visitation filings or anything like that. So this gentleman who has the child in his care, his son, we could file a case with the family court for the purposes of child support payments, financial child support, medical support.
At least getting the ball rolling.
Getting the ball rolling so that there could be a financial obligation established by the family court. Now, with that being said, does that open up other doors for the non-custodial parent to file within family court for she may get the idea, well, now that I'm paying, I should get a custody order. I should get a visitation order. So, but those things are treated separately by the court system and by the child support program. So I would encourage, similar to the other caller, I would have his son come to a child support office, speak to a child support specialist, and get an application for child support, and we can help him get that order. The one thing that I would preface this by, and I don't want to discourage him from coming to us. If she's got a heroin addiction, there may be some issues that she may need to work out first in order to maybe get a job and start making those payments. But we certainly would want his son to come in and get a child support application, and let's get that ball rolling. I don't. The expectation the payments are going to come in timely, or even come in maybe a little.
Thank you.
Go ahead, caller.
Thank you. That helps a lot. He hasn't had a chance, and they're struggling. I mean, the kid makes $19 an hour, and he's got a 9-year-old that costs him $120 a month just for daycare. And then we only discuss school supplies and clothes, and they've just never contributed anything, never even tried to make any kind of contact whatsoever. Right. But he's definitely afraid that if he goes after them for child support, there's going to be a visitation thing added to that.
And the other thing that I would encourage your son to do is, whatever the closest state service center to your home, I would suggest he go in and talk to somebody at one of our sister agencies, like the Division of Social Services, because there are.
Pile Center, does that work?
Yes.
The Pile Center?
Yes, he could go into the Pile Center and speak to someone from the Division of Social Services related to what kind of other benefits may he be eligible as a single father. Raising. That's
a great point.
Yeah,
because it's not just child support. There are other benefits that he could that he could be eligible for.
Yeah, he's getting nothing. He tried to get the food program, and they said at $19 an hour he makes too much money.
Yeah, but I would still not discourage him from looking at other programs.
Look into it at the very least, and there might be some grant. Perhaps, who knows?
Thank you. I don't want to tie up your lines. Thank you very much.
All right, good. Thank you very much for calling. You're listening to the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7, 98.5. Our guest is Ted Myrmegos, the Director of Child Support Services here in the First State. More of your calls and our discussion with Ted in just a moment. You're listening to the one, the only Talk of Delmarva, 92.7, 98.5 WGMD. Ted Myrmegos, the Director of Child Support Services, joins us here at Kim Benton State Farm the third Wednesday of every month. Ted, we have received some other emails. I think there were people, listeners, that were asking about the process to file for child support. How do I get child support? I'm in need of child support. Can you go through that process for our listeners?
Sure. So there's many ways that someone can apply for child support services. They can contact our customer service unit, 302-577-7171, and ask for a child support application. And we'd be more than happy to send you one. They can go to our website. And I always suggest, Jake, they go to our child support website through de.gov. They can pull down from their computer a child support application that they can fill out and return to our office. The document has to be notarized, so we tell them don't sign the document till you come in and see us, and we'll notarize it for free. And then they can go to our customer website through my.delaware.gov and actually complete an application online and send it to us online. So those are really the three ways that we can help people apply for child support services. But I encourage people to call us. We'd be more than happy to help them through that process.
Ted, 4 years. I had no idea that it was 4 years until you mentioned it.
This has been an awesome opportunity, and I love coming down to Sussex County.
I know.
I love being here in person with you. And
how many custodial parents and non-custodial parents have we helped with this program?
I don't know, probably hundreds. Yeah. It's and you know, this past year we've added the whole email process,
right,
which has been excellent. You reading emails and us having a conversation about child support.
I mean, you've turned into the child support troubleshooter.
Yeah,
I get the emails and I forward them on to you, and you 7 days a week you're responding.
And you know, Jake, and we talked about this. That's what I always joke in my office. I'm not the money guy. Don't ask me about the financial participation from the federal government. I'm a social worker.
Right.
I want to help people understand the child support process, know how to maneuver it. Whether you're a non-custodial parent and need help with the family court and understanding that process, I want to be able to help you maneuver that through that child support system. So, you know, I certainly appreciate this opportunity, and that's why I love coming down to Sussex County and talking to you each week.
And recently, you were in Boston. You talked to other
my colleagues
around the country about what you do on radio and what a difference it's made for your department.
Yeah, and trying to really, this was my whole goal, Jake, is trying to encourage them to take this step and really kind of expand their horizon and expand their ability to talk to the public about what we do at child support. And really, one of my goals too is to help clear up misconceptions.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Ted. If anything, we've done that, I think. And there are people out there. And listen, I'm a man. I think the system is rigged against men in some respects.
Right.
I felt that way when I was going through the system. But I think we've also, and I think to our credit, you and I, we've helped to get the word out that it's really about the kids.
Yeah.
You know, as much as you may be pissed at your ex, so you want to get back at your ex, and there's a lot of that. You deal with a lot of that. But it's all about making sure the children have what they need.
That's right.
You know?
Right. It builds that strong foundation that child will carry with them for the rest of their lives.
And it's not fair to taxpayers such as myself or you to have to support those children. If you're a non-custodial parent and you're responsible for a child that you help bring into the world, pay for that child.
Yep.
Right?
And look, I agree with that, Jake. We as a state agency and my colleagues at other state agencies and DHSS, we understand that people hit rough spots, and we want to be able to help them succeed. The mission of our department and the mission of child support services is to help people become self-sufficient.
Right.
And both parents, in the case of my division, both parents are responsible for making that happen.
Ted Myrmagos, the director of the Division of Child Support Services, 4 years. I don't know where the time went, but thank you, Ted. Thank you for all the work that you've done and continue to do.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7, 98.5. Ted will be back with us next month here at Kim Benton State Farm. You can continue, obviously, to send those emails to my attention, jake.smith@wgmd.com. I forward them directly to Ted. Ted's the big guy, and he gets action on those, don't you?
And that's right. And please do continue to reach out to Jake because we want to help you.
All right. There you go. Ted, thank you.